Hello dear students, hope you are fit and fine and studying seriously. So today we are going to do the third chapter of your book Vistas, and the name of the chapter is Journey to the End of the Earth. It is written by Tushani Doshi. Tushani Doshi is a famous poet, dancer and journalist, and this chapter is basically a real life narrative of the writer Tushani, and she tells about how Earth is affected by human activities. You must have also noticed, and this is a very good time to think about it, as we are stuck inside the home because of lockdown, and that is all the effect of human activities. Actually, humans are very busy in earning money and destroying the nature. So how Earth is affected by human activities, and after that so many changes like climate change, global warming, it is affecting our environment. So she's the part of a program, Students on Ice program, and through that with all the students, she's going to Antarctica to have a first hand experience to see all the things, how it is. So I'll start now. If you want to know more about the planet's past, present and future, the Antarctica is a place to go to. Bon voyage. So writer says, if you want to know about the past, present or future of the Earth, you should go to the place Antarctica, because there you can see everything clearly, how it was earlier, how it is now, and what is happening slowly because of global warming and human activities. And say, bon voyage, happy journey. Early this year, I found myself aboard a Russian research vessel. So she said, this year, starting, I started my journey in a Russian research vessel in the ship, the academic Shokalsky. So she started her journey in this, heading towards the coldest, driest, windiest continent in the world, that is Antarctica. You know it already, it's the coldest place, nobody lives there, inhabited place, driest place, windiest place, and that the name of that continent is Antarctica. My journey began 13.09 degree north to the equator in the Madras. So she started her journey from the place where she was that time. She was in Madras, and 13.09 degree to the north to equator. These equators and all you should have read in your history in class 10, and involved crossing 9 time zones. So till reaching Antarctica from Madras, she crossed 9 time zones. Time zones, as you know, if you must have gone to abroad, or when we change the country, we go to one country to another. Because of this, we have change in our time. Every country's time zone is different. She said, I crossed 9 time zones, 6 checkpoints to stop there, 3 bodies of water. Bodies of waters can be ocean, can be river, but writer has not written exactly, and at least as many ecosphere. Ecosphere can be place, can be ocean, can be forest, can be land. So she said, we have crossed so many places like this, and we reached there. By the time I actually set foot on the Antarctica continent, I had been traveling over 100 hours in combination of a car, an aeroplane and a ship. So she said, by the time I reached to the continent, I have traveled for 100 hours, and not in ship only. She went to car also, aeroplane also, and ship. So my first emotion on facing Antarctica's expansive white landscape and uninterrupted blue horizon was relief. So she said, this happens when we start our journey for going to anywhere. When we reach there, maybe on the way we would be very tired, or it would be very tough for us to go, but when we reach, we are so relaxed. So she said, and when I reached Antarctica, expansive white landscape. Expansive means wherever she could see landscape, it was all white. Uninterrupted blue horizon was relief. So horizon is a place, you must know, that where it looks like the earth and land is meeting. And when I saw it, it was very beautiful, and it was the time to relieve now. And I was feeling so relaxed. Followed up with an immediate and profound wonder. Immediate and profound wonder. A deep and intense wonder. Means definitely if you would go to the place like Antarctica, you will stand there, you will see the ice stretch everywhere, it's covered with ice, and it will be like a wonder for us. Wonder at its immensity. Immensity means how big it is, because everywhere till where you can see It is covered with ice. So she said how big it is. It's isolation. Isolation means being alone. It's far from the cities and other countries and all, alone and so big. But mainly at how there could ever have been a time when India and Antarctica were part of the same landmass. So she's saying, can you imagine, can you think of so many years ago, millions of years ago, Antarctica and in India, they were the part of same landmass. Now she will tell it in the next part of history. 650 million years ago, a giant amalgamated southern supercontinent Gondwana. So what is this Gondwana? I will just explain you. Gondwana, like it is said, it's written in the books also, so many years ago, 650 million, almost 65 crores years ago, it was said that this whole world was a one landmass. The mixture of amalgamated means mixture of one landmass. Supercontinent was there, that was known as Gondwana. Like this, the countries were not divided, India and America, and this the continents were not divided. This whole was together, and that was known as Gondwana. Did indeed exist. Can you think of, can you imagine that it was earlier like everything was together? Centered roughly around the present day Antarctica. And where was it? Roughly you can say the Antarctica was the place. The whole world was together. That was known as Gondwana. Things were quite different then. Humans had not arrived on the globe scene. So it was so many crores years ago when things were totally different. Humans were not there in the earth. Humans is still 65 crores years ago. Humans were not there in the earth. They did not arrive. So scene was totally changed and the climate was much warmer. It was warm, hosting a huge variety of flora and fauna, huge variety of animals, flowers and plants. Flora and fauna must be. For 500 million years, Gondwana type. 500 million means can be almost 50 crores years ago. Gondwana, it was growing, it was there. But around time when the dinosaurs were wiped out and the age of the mammals got underway, the landmass was forced to separate into countries. And after that, when you know the story of dinosaur, they suddenly they disappeared and wiped out from this earth. After that, it slowly it started separating into the countries, shaping the globe much as we know it today. So in starting, this whole world was a one landmass that was known as Gondwana. And slowly, after so many crores years, it started separating into the countries, which you can see in the globe now. Earlier globe was totally different. To visit Antarctica now is to be a part of that history. So now you are visiting Antarctica. It is also part of history, to get a grasp of where we have come from and where we could possibly be heading. So Antarctica is the best place to see, to understand. Grasp means to understand from where we have come in this earth and how it was in the starting and where we are heading to. Where we are heading to means it is very essential for us to see that as it is said, because of global warming and the climate change, the Antarctica glacier, they are also melting. And what could be after that? What will be the scene after that? It's to understand the significance of Cordilleran faults and Precambrian granite shields. And this is the place where you can see Cordilleran faults means mountain ranges, like we have Himalayas, Alps. These are mountains. So writer says you can see there how these are made. And Precambrian granite and shields, you can see the granite also there. Ozone and carbon, evolution and extinction. You can see these all the things there. Ozone, carbon of so many years, means so much old. Okay, and you can see how it changes. Evolution, you can see how is extinct, and so many things. So many animals, flora and fauna, it was extinct also. That you all can be visible in Antarctica. When you think about all that can happen in a million years, it can get pretty mind-boggling. And when you think of all the things happen in so many millions years ago, so it can be mind-boggling. Means when you become so, your mind shakes, you are surprised and you don't know how to believe in that. It just shakes your mind. Imagine India pushing northwards, jamming against Asia to buckle its crust and form the Himalaya. So many years ago, there was no mountains, there was no country, all were together. So think of that. India is pushing towards north and jamming against Asia and making the crust of Himalaya. Like this, the Himalayas were made. South America drifting off to join North America. South America and North America, you can see in the globe, different countries. Now they are trying to join together. Opening up the drag passage to create a cold circumpolar current. Opening of the drag passage. Drag passage is between, you can see in the globe, it is America and Antarctica, and between that drag passage is there, from where the southern current flows. Southern current flows. That is a drag passage between Antarctica and America, and the water bodies are there, keeping Antarctica frigid. And because of those water bodies, the Antarctica is frigid. Frigid means where the temperature is very less. Desolate and at the bottom of the world. Temperature is so cold and it's very less, and because of that temperature, frigid temperature, the people cannot live there. It is uninhabited place and at the bottom of the world. And where it lies, it is at the bottom of the world. Hope you must have understood it. Let me quickly revise it till here where we have done. So writer is telling about her journey to Antarctica. She has reached Antarctica, and when she reached there, she was surprised to see the expansive white landscape and horizon, and immediate she got profound wonder, deep intense wonder to see these all the things, because it was so huge and isolated from everything. And the history part, it says that earlier 650 million years ago, this whole world was one land mass that is known as Gondwana. And roughly you can see it in the Antarctica. And that time there were humans were not there in the globe, in the earth, and climate was very warm. Flora or fauna was this so much variety of flora and fauna, and Gondwana was growing there. After that, what happened when the dinosaurs were wiped out from the world, and the landmass was forced to separate into the countries. After that, slowly the countries started separating, and it is, you can see, the present times globe. To visit Antarctica, it's a part of history. Means when if you go there, you can see how it was earlier. You can see old mountain ranges, how they were made. You can see the carbon, ozone. You can see how these things were made there, and how so many things extinct. Okay, and then you will be so much confused, and your mind will start shaking, and you can't even imagine the things which happened there. And after that, you could also think of how you can imagine that how India came northwards and formed the Himalayan range, and how the drag passage was created in between America and Antarctica. And because of that water current, circumpolar water current, southern water current, the Antarctica is very cold. It is frigid and it is uninhabited, because temperature is very less, so nobody can live there. And it lies at the bottom of the world. So we have done in the last stanza how the writer Tishani Doshi reached to Antarctica, and she was telling about what are the things found in that place. She told about the mountain ranges, stones, ozone, carbon, etc. So many things. And she also told that how was the formation of Himalayas and opening of drag passage. For a sun worshipping South Indian like myself, 2 weeks in a place where 90% of Earth's total ice volumes are stored is a chilling prospect. So now she said, for a sun worshipping South Indian, because she was from Madras. So she said all the time they are there, because the South Indian, this Madras is a very hot temperature, and the people worship sun there. 2 weeks in place where 90% of Earth's total ice volume is stored is a chilling prospect. So it's a chilling prospect, is a different experience for her, the person who lives in such a hot area, the temperature is so high, and coming to the place where the 90% of Earth's total ice is stored. So it would be totally different experience for her, not just for circulatory and metabolic functions, but also for the imagination. She said, coming from the very hot place, suddenly coming to a very cool place. I'm not talking about only for circulatory you can understand here about the blood pressure and all the things, and metabolic functions mean the digestive system. She said this is not only different experience for my body and metabolic functions for digestive system, but also for the imagination. I mean, imagining such a great thing coming from a hot place and directly coming to the place where you can see the snow around and which is very cool, and you are in the frigid area. It's not only for my body and my functions, it is also very different for the imagination. Imagining this is also something different. It is like walking into a giant ping pong ball. It's like walking into giant ping pong ball. You must have seen like tennis ball, small and devoid of any human markers. You must have seen the ball. It's very small one and color is white and without any mark. It looks like I'm walking in somewhere in a ping pong ball where there is no mark of, devoid of any human marker. There is devoid means completely lacking. There is no mark of any human, because human movements are scarce. There is no human movements in that Antarctica region. No trees, billboards, buildings. You cannot see trees there. You cannot see any billboards, big boards of the ads. You cannot see any building. Buildings are also not there. You lose all earthly sense of perspective and time here. All earthly sense of perspective. Perspective here you can say the point of view. Because when we live in earth, we live in our places, we live in our home, our thinking is totally different. We think about the time, we think about the so many activities going around, we have to do so many things. But when you reach here, that all is lost. You don't even think anything about that. Your senses totally change. The visual scale ranges from the microscopic to the mighty. What can you see there? You can see the ranges from microscopic. Microscopic means very. So you can see the things very small and very big, mighty. Midges and mites to blue whales and icebergs. Midges and mites, they are small insect, and you can see the small insect, and you can see big blue whale and icebergs as big as countries. The largest recorded was the size of Belgium. So the biggest iceberg was as big as Belgium country. Days go on and on and on in surreal 24 hours. Surreal means very pious, very holy, very beautiful. Austral summer light and light. Austral summer light. In Australia, summers are very mild. So it's like that. And ubiquitous silence. Ubiquitous silence means silence is present everywhere. Very calm, holy, and summer light is very mild and everywhere silent. Interrupted only by the occasional avalanche or calving ice sheet. So everywhere perfect silence is there. Everywhere white and perfect silence. But sometimes it is interrupted by occasional avalanche means this falling of the stones. And calving ice sheet. This sometime when the ice melts, the ice sheets come down, and sometimes stones fall down. Only this type of noise can be heard there. Otherwise, nothing. Consecrates the place. Consecrate the place means it makes everything more holy. It is an immersion that will force you to place yourself in the context of the Earth's geological history. So when you reach here, it means you emerge. You are forced to emerge, to think about the geological history of this world. What do we study in geology? We study about the structure of the earth, how it is started, how from where was the origin of the earth. So these all things. So when you reach to this place and you come to this place called Antarctica, you are forced to think about these all the things. And for human, the prognosis isn't good. And for the human, the prognosis isn't good. Prognosis here means the forecasting of the future. So when we stand here, we realize the future of human being is not so good, because human knows how much the human activities are. And for humans, the prognosis isn't good. It means the prognosis here means the forecasting of the future. So when we stand here, we realize in Antarctica the future of human is not good. Why? Because we know that how much we affect by our human activities, how our climate is changing, and there are so many problems in the earth. So now writer will tell you human impact. She is telling why this future is not good. What are the human impacts? Human civilization have been around for a paltry 12,000 years, barely a few seconds on the geological clock. When we see that human civilization, it is all paltry means very small, lacking. You can say here it's very small. Only the human civilization is in this earth is only for 12,000 years, because this earth is created and this everything is created so many millions years ago, and we are here only for 12,000 years. So it's very small, barely a few seconds on the geological clock. When we see the geological clock, it's like a few seconds humans are here. In that short amount of time, we have managed to create a quite ruckus. From that much short period of time, we are here from like few thousand, this 12,000 years, and in that much time only we have managed to create quite ruckus. Ruckus means mess, destruction. Etching our dominance over nature with our villages. Etching our dominance, we are drawing art. Etching is our art form. We are drawing our dominance. We are drawing our dominance on the nature, and we are making our villages. We are making our towns. We are making our cities, big mega cities, and so many things we are making in this earth. We think that we are the owner of the earth, and in last so many years we have made the earth a mess. The earth has become a mess. The rapid increase of human population has left us battling with other species for limited resources. So, and you know already, our population increasing day by day, and we are battling with other species. So many species, the flora and fauna, so many animals, everything, and we are battling with them. We are fighting with them, and limited resources, and the resources are very limited. And the unmitigated burning of fossils fuels has now created a blanket of carbon dioxide around the world. Unmitigated means we cannot make it less, and so much of oil we burn, and you know that because of that a blanket of carbon dioxide is around the world, which is slowly but surely increasing the average global temperature. And that is that our vehicles, this fossil fuel, burning of the fossil fuel, our industries, these all the things, they are helping in increasing the average global temperature. Climate change is one of the most hotly contested environmental debate of our time. So that's in present time, the debate, the discussion, very important discussion is there for environmental changes. Will the West Antarctic ice sheet melt entirely? What are the topics to have debate for this? Will the West Antarctic ice sheet melt entirely? Will this everything will be the ice which is present in Antarctica? It will be melt. Will the Gulf Stream ocean current be disrupted? Will it be the end of the world as we know it? Maybe, maybe not. So these will be in the future. This will be the impact of human activities in our world in future. Maybe world will end or not. Either way, Antarctica is a crucial element in this debate. Not just because it is the only place in the world which has never sustained a human population and therefore remains relatively pristine in this respect. He said not because human activity is very less there, not because of that it's important, but more importantly because it holds in its ice core 500,000-year-old carbon records trapped in its layer of ice. It's not important to have debate on Antarctica because no human lived there, but it is also important because it holds in its ice core, inside the ice core, what is there? 500,000-year-old carbon records are trapped there in the layer of ice in Antarctica, and which can tell us about the which can tell us about how this was formed. If you want to study and examine the Earth's past, present and future, Antarctica is the place to go. Very important line these are. If you want to know about the past, present and future, see, I've told you everything you can find there. There are so many years ago old carbon records are there which can tell about this formation of the earth and formation of this place. Even present, when we stand there, we can see how the icebergs are melting and the global warming is increasing. And we can also forecast for the future, what will be the future if the human continue their activities and harm the environment. So that's why the writer says the Antarctica is the best place if you want to know, examine about Earth's past, present and future. We have done in the last stanza, the writer says, if you want to study and examine the Earth's past, present and future, Antarctica is the place to go. And she has already told so many things about Antarctica. Let us see the next page. Student on Ice, the program I was working with on Sokaski, aims to be exactly this by taking high school students to the end of the world and providing them with the inspiring educational opportunities which will help them foster a new understanding and respect for our planet. So why this program? In this program they take high school students to see Antarctica? They have a purpose for it. What purpose they have? They want to show them the end of the world and providing them with inspiring educational opportunity which will help them to foster a new understanding and respect for our planet, which will encourage them. Foster means encourage them to understand our planet in better way and respect. Because as we have discussed earlier also, this human activities are affecting our planet so much, especially this place called Antarctica. So at least if the high school student, they will go there, they are a future of our world, future of our country or future of our world. So they will understand, they will respect the planet and they will not do those things which harms the planet. It's been in operation for 6 years now, headed by Canadian Geoff Green, who got tired of carting celebrities and retired rich curiosity seekers who could only give back in a limited way. So earlier, before this head was Canadian Geoff Green. He used to take the celebrities and other people, those who were curious to see Antarctica. But afterwards, he realized that these big celebrities, they are not they are not contributing anything for the planet. They could do it only in limited way. They would come, they will see, they will enjoy and they will go back. But with a student on ice, he offers the future generation of policy maker and life-changing experience at an age when they are ready to absorb, learn and most importantly act. So now he decided that he is going to take students, because students are our future. They are our future generation. And they will become the policy maker. They will have the experience, life-changing experience, and they will understand it, they will absorb it, they will learn, and they will understand the importance of this place, importance of our Mother Earth. And according to that, they will act. The reason the program has been so successful is because of it impossible to go anywhere near the South Pole and not be affected by it. Why it has become so important program? Because going to this place is very difficult, and when we reach in this place, it is impossible not be affected by it. People, those who go there, they are deeply affected by the environment, and after that this is life-changing experience for them. So that's why this program is very popular. It's easy to blaze about polar ice caps melting while sitting in the comfort zone of our respective latitude and longitude. He said it is very easy to blaze here. You can think like blaze uninterested means like many a times when you listen to the things again and again and you become uninterested and you don't pay attention to this. Sitting comfort zone of our respective latitude and longitude means sitting in our place where we are right now, just thinking about this, we don't get so much of interest. But sitting inside our home and sitting in we are in our cities and our countries, we cannot imagine what would be happening in Antarctica and what happens there. It is not so interesting. But when you can visibly see glacier retreating and ice cells collapsing, but if you will go there and you will see, practically you will see in front of you the glacier retreating means shrinking, and ice cells, they are collapsing, they are destroying. You begin to realize that the threat of global warming is very real. So just sitting inside the home, we just listen, we read in the books, we watch in the TV, and that time we don't get so much affected by that. But when we go there, we see it from our eyes and how this ice cells, they are collapsing and the glaciers are shrinking nowadays. Then we start thinking about and we start realizing about the threat of global warming is very real. Just by reading and seeing on the TV or reading from here and there, we can't understand what is it about. But when we see it, then only we understand. Antarctica, because of her simple ecosystem and lack of biodiversity, is the perfect place to study how little change in the environment can have big repercussions means the writer wants to say that Antarctica, it's a simple ecosystem is there, lack of biodiversity, animals, plants, you can't see anything. It's the perfect place. It's the perfect place where we can see the in the environment can have how little change in the environment can have big repercussion and consequences. So here in the place we can see where small thing can have big consequences, big effect. Take the microscopic phytoplankton, those grasses of the sea that nourish and sustain the entire southern ocean's food chain. Now the writer is telling about some scientific things and grasses about and all. Phytoplankton, these grasses of the sea that nourish and sustain the entire southern ocean's food chain. So this is the plant phytoplankton, which everything depends on this, because these are the grasses which nourish and sustain the entire southern oceans of food chain. You would understand what is food chain. These single cell plants use the sun's energy to assimilate carbon and synthesis organic compound in that wondrous and most important of process called photosynthesis. So you would be clearly aware about what is the photosynthesis. So you can see, and these plants are very small one which help in this. Scientists warn that a further depletion in the ozone layer will affect the activities of phytoplankton. So scientists say that if global warming will increase and this ozone layer will be depleted, so this will also affect phytoplankton, which in turn will affect the lives of all the marine animals and birds of the region, because they play a very important part in that. They nourish, and this food chain is active because of this plant there. But if these plants will be affected, then all the marine animals and birds of that region, they will also be affected, and the global carbon cycle also will be affected. This plays a very important role in carbon cycle of whole globe. In the parable of the phytoplankton, there is a great metaphor for existence. So parable, we say parable, you can say the short story, and this, if you take it like a story of phytoplankton, there is a great metaphor for existence. Metaphor here will be symbol, means if phytoplankton, they will be safe, and then only our existence also will be safe. Now, how to understand it? How to understand it? How we can understand by the last line, very important line. This is, take care of small things and the big things will fall into places. So these plants are very small plants which can be seen from microscope clearly. They are very small plants, but they play a very important role in the carbon cycle of whole world. So the writer says, if we take care of these small things, big things will fall into place. It happens in our real life also. We don't have to do great things to do something big. If we do small things, little things properly, other things, big things automatically will be there. Okay, the last one, walk on the ocean. My Antarctic experience was full of such epiphanies. Epiphanies means you can say sudden realizations. Okay, epiphanies means sudden realization. But the best occurred just short of the Antarctica Circle at 65.55 degrees south. He says, writer says, we have so many experiences of realization there, but the best one is, she's telling, which was there in 65.55 degrees south. The Sokalsky had managed to wedge herself into the thick white stretch of ice between the peninsula and Tadpole Island, which was preventing us from going any further. So the ship was stuck. Wedge means stuck. Where it was stuck? It was stuck between peninsula and Tadpole Island, and they could not move any further. The captain decided, we are going to turn round and head back north. But before we did, we were all instructed to climb down the gangplank and walk on the ocean. After that, the captain said, we cannot go any further. Now you people have to get down from the ship, and you have to, were all instructed to climb down the gangplank. Gangplank means the temporary arrangement that you can say stairs would be there, and walk on the ocean. And ocean was all covered with snow, so we have to walk on the ocean. Then only he will be able to turn the ship. So there we were, all 52 of us. So 52 people were there, kitted out in the Gore-Tex and glares. They were kitted out. Kitted out, you can say, they had everything which they needed that time. They took all. So they were 52 all together, and they were kitted out in the out in Gore-Tex and glares. They had all the kits, whatever things they needed, and they have the waterproof clothes and the jacket maybe, and sunglasses, and they were walking on the stark whiteness, and that seemed to spread out forever. So everywhere there was white. Underneath our feet was a meter thick ice pack, and underneath that 180 meter of living breathing salt water. In the periphery, crab-eater seals were stretching and sunning themselves on the ice floes, much like stray dogs will do under the shade of a banyan tree. So they were on that those ice floes, means piece of ice those were flowing in that ocean. They were stretching themselves, so they were relaxing there. How they were relaxing compared to when the dogs relax under the shade of banyan tree. It was nothing short of a revelation. Everything does indeed connect. So we realize then. We realize that everything is connected to each other. 9 time zones, 6 checkpoints, 3 bodies of water, and many ecospheres later, I was still wondering about the beauty of balance in play on our planet. So writer must have reached back now, and she said, I crossed 9 time zones, 6 checkpoints, and 3 water bodies. And now she realized that the nature has a different way to balance everything. How would it be if Antarctica were to become the warm place that it once used to be? She's thinking now, if Antarctica would be warm place like earlier, what would happen? Will we be around to see it, or would we have gone the way of the dinosaur, mammals and woolly rhinos? If Antarctica will become a warm place, we will also be disappeared like dinosaur, mammals and woolly. Who's to say? We can't say anything. Anything can happen. But after spending 2 weeks with a bunch of teenagers who still have the idealism to save the world, all I can say that a lot can happen in a million years, but what a difference a day makes. So she said, but after spending 2 weeks in Antarctica with so many teenagers, I started thinking that, but the ideas, who still have the idealism and belief to save the world, all I can say is all the people, they have the belief to save the world, and all I can say is that a lot can happen in a million years, but what a difference a day makes. So many things can happen in million years, but what a difference a day makes. But in one day also there can be lot of difference. Okay, in one day we realize that whatever we are doing, we are not doing correct. We have to change it. Like when we talk about our Mother Earth and about this chapter especially affecting our planet by our human activities. So we can make a difference in one day also. We can do so many things for that, and in one day we can realize and we can think and we can change our acts, and we can do many things for the welfare of our Mother Earth. Hope you must have understood. If not, please feel free to contact.